I'm not gonna stand up. Do y'all want me? I'm just gonna sit. Oh, yeah, yeah, there's lots of room. Okay. We're gonna go ahead and get started. I tend to talk really fast, but there's a lot of things that I want to go over. But I want to treat this more like a discussion. So feel free to just jump in and ask a question or give some sort of feedback in regards to what we're talking about. But first of all, my name is Inez Hayes. I am at Baylor University. I'm the instructional designer for the graduate business programs. So if you were in the Baylor session earlier this morning, I do not work with that team. I'm all alone. Oh no. No. I was taking notes of what I saw them because I was like, oh my gosh, I need to do that. I need to do that. So when they were talking about their 4-step process that they have different people that do each process, I am all of those processes. And so I'm the lone person in the business school. I only work for graduate programs. Actually, I was only hired for the online program. Now I do all of them. And every now and then I will get a request like I did yesterday from someone in undergrad telling me, I know you don't do this. However, can you help me create my Canvas course? And so
do you need me to tell them no for you? Are you going to say no?
I never say no. That's my problem. That's one of the things I need to work on. But if they're just one-offs and things like that, I can handle it. Their particular request took me 30 minutes, so that was no big deal. I don't mind doing that. But what I would like to talk to you guys today is just Teamwork Tango, the successful partnership between faculty and instructional designers. So if you know Abby from Baylor, I actually took her position when she went over to the other group. And so I've been in this role for about 3 years, and she left it in great shape. And then we've taken it just a little step further from there. So it's been a lot of, not blood, but a lot of sweat and tears, I think, with working with all of our faculty members, especially because I only started with online. So I got to know those faculty really well. And then they were like, well, how about the on-campus faculty? Well, how about the executive MBA faculty? And so some of those were crossovers, but most of our faculty are adjuncts. And so they're not always in the building. And so trying to develop those relationships with faculty has been kind of hard to do, but so far I've been successful at it. So I just kind of want to go over some of the strategies that I've developed in working with our faculty. So the first thing that I did, and this is all dance kind of themed. My daughter's a dancer, so I always think that way. But the first thing that I did when I came into this job is I wanted to sit down one-on-one with each faculty member. And so it took some time because trying to pinpoint a time that they were free and I was free. And then those that didn't really want to get to know me or want anything to do with me at all, they kind of were told, you have to go in and have this meeting. But I wanted to sit down with them so that I could tell them a little bit about me and I could learn some things about them and their course to see how I could better help them. I think one of the biggest things that really helped with my credibility with them, because I was someone new coming in to Baylor, was that I'm also an educator. So I taught middle school English for about 10 years. And then my last 3 years in K-12, which was here in Dallas, I worked at Garland ISD, was in instructional design. And so coming in as an educator and saying, I know, even though I'm not a higher ed professor, but I know, what you experience. I know how to work with students. I know about instructional strategies. That gave me some credibility with them kind of off the bat. And so that kind of broke down some of the barriers that they didn't really want to trust me. Well, I can listen to what she has to say because she knows where we've been and where we want to go. But there were some questions that I wanted to ask them about their course. So the first thing I asked was, what do you enjoy most about teaching the course? just to get them to open up, kind of break the ice, and they can give me a little bit of information about their course. I also asked them, are there any challenges that you've encountered teaching the course? So specifically with the online courses, they were having some different challenges, and it was, some were across the board, some were just one-offs, different challenges due to the kind of content that they were teaching. So I wanted to make sure that I knew what those were. What is working well in your current course design? So they all had a course design, but they did not all look the same across the board. So that was one thing that was on my list that I wanted to do, was make sure that all of our courses look the same across the board for our students. Do you have any assignments or assessments that you would like to refine or redesign? So we do still go by a redesign process where every 3 to 4 years, we will make each professor go through a complete course redesign. We actually just did that last year. We turned all of our program courses from 4 hours to 3 hours. So every faculty member in our program had to completely redesign their courses. And so some of them hadn't done it in a really long time because they just weren't held accountable before. And so they were kind of kicking and screaming and not wanting to do it. But when I showed them, here's the process and here's how easy I'm going to make it for you, then they were willing to put in their part of the work for the redesign. And are there any technologies that you're curious about or you would like to explore? They hear about technologies and things from other professors, and they don't really know how that could apply to their class, whether it's an online class or an in-person class, or like our executive MBA is more of a hybrid class environment. So trying to show them how they can utilize a certain technology through all formats. And then are there any teaching strategies or innovations that you've been wanting to try? There is a website, I think it's called the Cross Academy, and they give a lot of higher education instructional strategies on their website. There's a lot of downloads and things like that. I kind of looked at that first and learned about some instructional strategies. Some of the things I even brought over to them from the K-12 world. And some of the professors have used it in their class and they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this actually still works. I'm like, students are students. And if one strategy is going to work in high school or middle school, it will definitely still work in, the higher ed environment. You may have to tweak it a little bit, but it'll still work. So those are the questions that I asked them. Gave us a really good chance to get to know each other. I got a feeling about their course. They got to hear a little bit about me and my experience and what I could do for them. And that really started off that building trust with each other, which was one of my biggest things with them. I wanted to develop that relationship and that trust with them before we did any work. So that really helped. The next thing I did was learning each other's steps. So we utilize Canvas as our LMS. And what I wanted to do was to show them, I'm not just telling you this is what your Canvas class needs to look like, or this is the strategy that you need to use, or this is the way you need to do this. I'm going to actually have it available for you as well. I'm going to practice when I'm preaching to you. So I developed this kind of orientation and resources hub for all of our faculty. And it's, if you see here, it's down by each program. And so they will click on whatever program that they're involved in, and they'll get program information. It goes over like their pay. It goes over just things that are specific to their program, syllabi information, any kind of scheduling or dates that they need to know. It's all there for them. We also offer a training module for them. Then I have a course design module that talks about all of my stuff for them, all of kind of my rules that I have for each program. And then our program assessment, which is our accreditation. I also take care of that for all of our business school as well. And I'll go over that in a little bit more detail. But I wanted to show you, and I think I closed that. I didn't close it, but I think I'm on the wrong thing. Oh, there we go. Thank you.
You can slide
Oh,
that. Only you can see it now, so don't slide it.
do I stop share and then share that?
No, you can drag that window over to your next screen.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of go through some of this with you. So for example, I have this start here orientation section. So this is like where everybody will go to. It's very helpful when we have new faculty that we're bringing in because I just add them to this course and I tell them click on start here and just go through all of the modules and it'll guide them to everything that they need to know. So it talks about, I just give them information about everything about our program. They get to see pictures and who's a part of their team, who they will need to talk to. Most of the faculty just deal with me and our associate dean. She's the one that handles all their evaluations. I handle all their coursework. So we're the two that they speak to the most. But it just gives them all the steps that they need to go through. But looking at their course design resources, and this is going to be on the next slide as well. But what I did is everything that I put in here is a tool that they can also use in their courses. And so I created this podcast with wondercraft.ai and it basically, and I just asked the question, I said, create a podcast with two people talking about the importance of course design. I gave it some personal things about our program in the prompt, and then it created this 3-minute podcast talking about the importance of course design. So would y'all like me to play a little bit of that? Okay.
So I got something super cool for you today, Adrian. We're going to be talking about course design on faculty focus for Baylor MBA programs. I'm really curious about this topic because it seems like there's so many ways to approach it.
Absolutely, Ed. Course design is like one of those things that can really make or break the student experience. I'm actually super excited to dive into this because it's something I've been working with for years now.
Forget traditional one-size-fits-all teaching. The magic happens when you blend video lectures, written content, and hands-on activities.
Yes, students learn differently. That's exactly why your course needs multiple formats. Here's the game-changing approach. Start with accessible content, add captions to videos, provide text transcripts, and create downloadable resources.
This isn't just about compliance. It's about reaching every single student. Want to maintain academic rigor without killing engagement? Layer your content. Begin with fundamental concepts, then build up to complex case studies.
Exactly. Also, add real-world applications that challenge students to think critically. The secret sauce is interactive elements. I bet.
So just quick little thing. It kind of, when I played that for them in a training, they were just like, okay, how did you make that? What did you type in to make that? And so some of our faculty have used it, and you can also upload files. So one of our faculty members uploaded his syllabus, and it created a podcast talking about different points of their syllabus so that the students didn't have to read it, because sometimes they're not going to read something that's 8 pages long, but they might listen to this while they're driving or while they're just, sitting at work or waiting on their kids or something. So trying to find these little instructional tools and things like that to bring to them kind of really helps with that relationship with our faculty too, because they're like, well, you're more than just telling me what I need to do for our program, but you're also giving me stuff that can help make my life a little bit easier. Let me go. So I also have here, I have a little bit about me, so it goes just into more of my bio, things like that. Syllabus templates and course maps. So all of the things that we offer for them that are kind of like our non-negotiables are there for them to use. They have a schedule where they have to submit syllabi to me by a certain time so that I can start looking at their courses. I have my online faculty. They are perfectly trained. They do everything I tell them to do. Some of my other ones are still getting the used to everything. So it's a work in progress still, but I make sure that, that they're utilizing the template. I'll make any edits that, I feel like needs to be changed. Some of them are still stuck in the template that's 3 years old. So I have to go and move everything over to the new one and make sure everything's up to date. But everything is there. All of the university specific wording we have, like for example, for AI, we have 3 different statements that the faculty can choose. So I tell them in that template, you have to choose one of these. And if they don't have it, then I go back and tell them, hey, you don't have the AI statement in here. And if you don't put it in here, and then you get mad because students are using AI, you have nothing to back you up because you didn't put that statement in there. So it's kind of a checks and balances that we use, and why I really push for them utilizing these templates and not just kind of making their own. It really works for us. And then the workload calculator, this was based off of the main learning design team at Baylor, what they've put together, what Baylor considers what your workload should be for a semester. But it's
Like for the students?
for the students, okay. Yeah. And so our courses are trimester, we're 7-week terms. And so we still have to abide by that number of academic hours in that 7-week term. So our professors utilize this calculator when they're looking at building their courses to say, okay, well, I might have too much lecture here and not enough reading and things here. So it helps them like figure everything out to make sure that we're meeting those academic minutes requirements. Okay. There we go. Okay, so you saw this page. I also have in on that Canvas course, each program has this course readiness timeline, and I just made this in Canva, and I tell them, it gives them dates, their whole due dates for the entire academic year. This is what I need from you, and this is when I need it by. That way, when they get my email, they already have this. And I have it in this Canvas course, but in our faculty meeting at the beginning of the year, I give them a hard copy as well. So they have it in more than one place. And it just keeps them accountable for the things that they need to do for me. And it keeps me up to date on my own processes as well. So I tell them when their syllabi is due, when their updates to their course need to be complete, when I enter their TAs. So we enter the TAs a week before the course starts so that they have a week to kind of get prepared for the class. Their publish date, we publish the Friday before the course starts. Their start date, and then their last day of class. And so since we just moved from a 6.5-week term to a full 7-week term, that has been the biggest thing that our faculty have, like, they really needed that last day of class. I had a professor 2 weeks ago, and the course ends on Friday, and he was like, I didn't realize that my class ended on this date. When did it get shorter? And I said, actually, it got longer.
Oh, no.
And so he had given them an assignment for their last module that was due like 4 days after the class ended. And I said, well, your grades are due even before that. So you need to go back and make some adjustments. And and it was something that when I was looking at the course, it looked fine, but he went and added some more assignments and changed some due dates, thinking he still had time. And so we had to have a conversation about, look at what you're doing in that last module, maybe trim some of these things. You don't necessarily have to do a discussion board, a quiz, an assignment, and a project all in 1 week. That's too much. Take some of those things away. Maybe just give them the project to do that last week if you don't really need the grades or to have to test them on that information for that last module. So things like that, I really stress that they keep an eye on those dates, because not only does it help me, but it really helps them as well.
Do they go in and change it at all often? Is that something you encounter often?
No, they're just my one-offs, and this particular professor only teaches in the summer. And so, you know, if they only teach in the summer, or if they don't show up to faculty meetings to hear about some of the updates, then they're lost, and they just don't realize that, oh yeah, that does apply to me too.
Do you get nervous about content that's added later from an accessibility standpoint? How do you?
I always keep a close eye on accessibility. So she just graduated in May, but we had our very first visually impaired student, 100% blind. And so when she started the program, we worked very closely with our accessibility office and made sure that we stayed a step ahead of her in all of the classes that she was enrolled in. And so I worked with those professors. They were my priority ones, but because of that, we made everyone kind of go through the accessibility training and make sure that everything was accessible, because who knows when we would get this again. And so it was very successful for her. She was one of our top graduates, and just accolades from her as far as what we did for her and what the accessibility department did for her. So that was a big win for our program. And I really attribute it to our faculty as well, that just jumped on and said, okay, yeah, we're going to work together to make sure everything was right. Because it was hard. Some of those accounting classes and things, those are hard to make accessible. And so we did a lot of creative things to make it work. Okay, so one of the things that I also do for our faculty is I do a faculty newsletter several times a semester. I was really optimistic when I first started doing these my first year, and I was doing them every Friday. So they got a newsletter every Friday. And then I was like, okay, this is too much. And then when I started getting more programs added to me, I was like, okay, I cannot do this every Friday. So I do them, I try to do 2 to 3 a semester. And anything that I come across with any kind of Canvas updates, I make sure that they get it. I will link it for them. If I find webinars that I think would be helpful for them, like right now, there's always an AI webinar, and that's just a big thing right now for our department. And so I will tell them, hey, this one is a free webinar. Here's how you register for it. And I'll give them all that information there. I will talk about anything that we have coming up that's department initiated mandate. I will put that in there so they see it. I give them the kind of a calendar of the semester, when things are due to me. We had to go through recording videos using our production studio in the library, because we didn't want our faculty to have their lecture videos and they're just sitting at their desk, you know, and it's all messy in the back, all that. And I'm like, let's make this more professional and kind of raise the bar there. So we made them all go down to the recording studios, record their lecture videos and things like that. So I gave them instructions how to do that. So just anything that I think that would be beneficial to our faculty, I put it in this newsletter, and it's 2 pages. I do 2 pages, link everything, make it easy for them. I email it out. And sometimes they'll share it through the whole business school. I'm like, that's not really for them because I don't want them to get my name and start asking me questions. But, you know, they think it's good. So it's great that they want to share it for other faculty. The other thing we do is we have faculty meetings, so several times a semester, and it's departmental things that they discuss. But I actually get 15 minutes at the beginning of each faculty meeting so that I can give them some sort of bite-sized training. And I've already got it written down what I'm going to do for our first meeting in the fall. But we feed them, that makes them come. It's really hard for our executive MBA faculty. That's the one that they're kind of my project for this next year, is trying to get them more engaged with that. They usually don't attend very well. And so hopefully
What's your adjuncts? Are they pretty motivated to come in, or?
Every now and then an adjunct will come in. Usually our adjuncts are just from other departments on campus. And so if they're not teaching, then they'll show up. So we don't have too many adjuncts that are out Now, we do have one that's in San Marcos. He works for Texas State. So, but he's very good about always zooming in and things like that. And then the other one is what I have built into our Canvas course is training. So we have, for any new faculty coming in, they have to do every bit of training that we have listed in there. If they've already been teaching in our program for a while, they can utilize this as their own professional development, and they can just kind of go in and out of the training as they want. But what I have listed is I have like the basic Canvas course that Instructure has on their website. I have it linked there. Then there's also a LinkedIn Learning Canvas course that I have linked. And I have them set up as assignments. So when they do them, they can upload their certificates so that it kind of gives them some accountability and we can see, yeah, they really are doing these classes. We also have the learning design team has a whole set of training that they do for online learning. So they're called Learning Just in Time. I make sure that those are listed there for our faculty to do as well. Anything that the Academy of Teaching and Learning puts out, I have those listed on there, as well as some other LinkedIn Learnings courses that we found that would be helpful for any kind of online teacher engagement, how to provide feedback, because sometimes our faculty aren't very good at providing feedback. And so we found a LinkedIn Learning course that talks about that. So we have it there for them as well. So any kind of training that I feel is relevant for them, that they can utilize to better themselves, but also better our students in our program, it's all listed there for them to do as they want. But any new faculty coming in, they have no choice. They have to do all of it. Okay, so choreographing the course. So our course structure is a little bit different than what the other groups at Baylor do. But we make sure that every module has their clear learning objectives and outcomes. And because part of my job responsibility is also providing information for accreditation and filling out those reports, we make every faculty member choose one of our learning outcomes that they want to assess within their course. And so I go in and I use the outcomes within Canvas and I put those outcomes in within that assignment. And then at the end of the year, when it's time to do the reports, I just run a report and it gives me all of their the student results. And it's just easy for me to just type that into the report. The faculty only have to do their part of how do they interpret that assessment and what they're going to do to change the next time that they teach the course to make it better or adjust it because it wasn't a good assignment, you know, whatever their interpretations are. So we made it very, very easy for them. It was a bigger process for the faculty before, but over this past year, we made sure that we were able to embed those learning goals within the course. So every time they teach it and I just copy over their course, those learning goals are already there. I don't have to go back and do it. Instructional strategies are introduced or refined. So we'll introduce new strategies for them, or we will refine some that they're already doing and doing well. We have a combination of lecture and rigorous, relevant, interactive activities that engage students. We always want to stay relevant. I have some professors that update their course every single time that they teach it. And some of them teach it 3 times a year because in the business world, things are changing. And so they want to make sure that they're staying on top of all the things that are going on. And then that also gives us increased student participation and motivation. What I do is I also look at all of the evaluations that come in for the courses. And so I put my instructional designer glasses on and I look for those lines at the students when they talk about, you know, the design of the course and how it was organized. And if there were some things that they didn't quite understand or if something was too wordy. And then I sit with the professor and say, okay, this is what they said. How can we change this part up? And then all the other things our associate dean deals with them on other student issues. But for a course design, those student evaluations are very, very helpful as far as making sure that our courses are meeting the needs of the students. Consistent organization and navigation guidelines. So we have a lot of non-negotiables that they have to do. We went through and I did an audit of every course and I counted like the number of pages that the students had to read that term, the amount of lecture minutes they were having to listen to, and some were just ridiculous. And there was no like, that was a 15-week course in 7 weeks, and it would be difficult for 15 weeks with the amount of lectures and stuff that they had. So that really helps us having to be able to trim a lot of the things that were unnecessary in the courses. And it gave us some room to sit with the faculty and say, hey, put this in a optional resources page or something. If you want them to still have access to that information, that's fine, but don't make it mandatory. Don't put it in that module where the students feel like they have to do it. Make sure that you just set a separate page that says optional resources, and you can put all of those things in there. Because there will be those students that will read all of those, but most of them aren't going to have time to do that. Supporting accessibility and usability, we had issues with that, but we feel like because of the student that we had, that we're on the other end of that, and we're doing a really good job with that. And then just improving our course quality and efficiency, having these processes written down, having that Canvas course for the faculty where they know that that's their one-stop shop. They can always go there and get any information that they need. They know that I am just a text message away, and they will text me at 10 o'clock at night and say, I have this assignment that's due tomorrow, but I noticed that this is missing, or I forgot to add this part to it. Can you go in there and fix it right now? And so I will do that. That's just the nature of my job and what I do to support the online courses. I don't do that for full-time or for our executive MBA, but for the online courses, because it is asynchronous and our students might be working at 11 o'clock and need that information, I will answer those texts and take care of it. There have been times when I've stopped and parked on the side of the road and pulled my computer out and fixed something because I was traveling and it needed to be done right then and there. And they do appreciate it when there will be a lot of times that they'll respond and they're like, wow, that was fast. Thank you. And they thought maybe it would take 2 days to do something. And if it's something that I know I can fix right then and there, I just go ahead and do it. And it just helps our relationship with faculty. And so then we just dance it out. So great partnerships like a well-choreographed tango are built on trust, rhythm, and powerful communication. And when we connect and communicate and give them everything that they need, our courses are better, our students are better, our program is better as a whole. So any questions, comments, feedback?
What has your faculty's feedback been on this course?
They love it. Our new people especially love it because they most of our new people that we've had recently are adjuncts from other departments. And so they don't really know what they're stepping into when they said yes. And so their first thing is to meet with me, and I go over all these things with them. I have actually when they're designing their course, we try to give them like 3 to 4 months to get everything ready. And so I have like this form that's a timeline, and it kind of just goes over line by line. This is exactly what you need to do. This is when it's due. And I let them know this is not set in stone. If something happens and you miss a deadline, that's okay. We'll work around things and we'll make sure everything is done before your class. But they love the fact that everything is here for them. And there's a lot of things that if they have a question, they can always go here and find the answer to their question. So it's been very good. The ones that have been in the program for several years before I came on, it's been a little bit of a learning curve, I think, for them, just to have something where they can go and access and see everything at once, but they're starting to get it. And they like the fact that I make things very easy for them. And so if they know that they have one place to look and they don't have to go ask several people, or they can just send me an email or a text, then that's good. A lot of times I will tell them if, because I know that especially in the summer, they're traveling, they're working on research, they're doing other things. And so I'll tell them, if you want something updated in your course and you don't have time to do it, send me a detailed email with everything that you want to change. And they'll send me like an Excel spreadsheet, and it'll be broken down by modules, and they'll tell me what they want to change. And I'll go in there and do it for them and then tell them, okay, it's done. Please look it over and make sure that I did it right, to the way you wanted it to be. And they'll do that as well. So they like the fact that there's a dedicated person. I don't know how long I will be able to be that one dedicated person to the business school.
So that leads me to another question is, what's your succession plan? I flinch at the working after hours and stuff, not because I don't doubt it means the world to your faculty and it's feeding this really good partnership and relationship you have, because I know that we can't do that where we are. There's just too many. But part of that is you build these great relationships and then there's no one to fill that gap, or it almost sets the next person up for less success because they can't measure up. So what have you thought about succession planning? And
yes, and we're actually looking at that and trying to plan for that now, because I'm finishing up a PhD program, so I'm not going to be doing this forever. And I have been told that I'm probably not going to get replaced. And so in the midst of me doing all this, I'm also training faculty on how to do it themselves. So and some of them want to do it on their own, and they'll send me an email and say, can you tell me how to do this quiz or how to fix this? And so I will make them a video and show them how to do something and just email them the video. And they love that, because it's not me having to do it for them, but they're actually learning how to do it.
And I guess the other piece of that is that resource page you're direct to.
Yes.
Of course.
Yeah. So we'll see. I don't know what that's going to look like. They may eventually have to utilize the group in the libraries, and they'll have to take over and have someone dedicated to the business school. I don't know. But for now, it's me.
Yeah.
We'll see how long it's going to be.
Big news.
All right. Well, thank you guys.
So.